We're about to get this episode started. We're about to get this episode started. Ooh, 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 ooh. We're about to get this episode started.
That's what you gotta talk to me about.
Yeah, I'll just ask you about
That's
that
what you
later.
gotta talk to me about.
Just ask you about it later.
Okay. Here we go. Gotta sing before we start.
It's a little warm up.
Okay.
Okay,
SGR,
okay.
and we're doing, okay. Get the nerves out a little bit. Okay, here we go. And bam.
Hello.
Hello, everyone.
Barry is singing a lot today, y'all.
I can't help myself.
It is Living Love Thursday.
Yes.
Welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Welcome. We're your hosts, Barry and Candle. Yes.
Thank you for joining us today. We're so excited to have you guys. Thank you for tuning in. I want to throw in there really quickly, if you're new to this podcast, please go to our website, www.livinglovedpodcast.com, and subscribe. We're mailing out, all kinds of information, episode information, video links, devotionals. I know we've said that before. There's probably some people who are subscribed and was like, the devotionals, like hit or miss. Okay. We've gotten better. We've got
get
a
our
plan in
consistency
place.
up here.
We're getting our consistency up. Work with us a little bit. Work with us. But please go and subscribe.
Yeah.
So that we can share more Living Love stuff with you.
Oh, yes.
And so the title of today's episode is Your Identity. And Barry is going to read, once again, we are reading from the devotional 100 Days of Believing Bigger by Marshawn Evans Daniels. Woo woo! And we are checking out day 34 this time. And the name of the actual devotional is Identity Shifts. But this episode title is Your Identity.
Yes. I really love this devotional. Before we get into the devotional for today, I just love how it's broken apart into all these different
topics.
Yes.
It's really cool. It is.
Like trust, identity, trust, there's
purpose,
there's disruption, courage, significance,
stillness,
blessing, and obedience. There's so much. I love that.
So many different things. Because I feel like what I love about devotionals like this, it kind of allows you to target specific things. Yeah. So while we tend to read devotionals in order, sometimes there may be something you're feeling on a particular day. Yeah. And when it's broken down like that, you can just look at that and be like, okay, all right, let's see. Belief and faith.
And it seems to really hit every area of life.
Yeah. Just kind of.
And like an ebb and flow. The whole journey and the mountains, the valleys, the everything.
All of that.
It's just so good. I just had to mention that. If you guys haven't, you should definitely
check this out, y'all.
Check this book out. We do not get paid endorsements or anything for that. But it's a good devotional, so we don't even need to get paid.
We're just sharing.
Shout it out because it's that good. Okay?
Ooh.
Thank you. Anyways. Okay, so the devotional, the scripture for today is Isaiah 43:1. And it says, "Do not be afraid, for I have ransomed you. I have called you by name. You are mine."
You are mine.
That's a nice one. We can miss who we're called to be because we're addicted to or attached to who we've decided to be. Most of us women tend to define ourselves in one of the 5 areas, or all of them. I call the 5 success mountains. Each mountain simply represents a lane that we choose to live in and gives us a sense of identity. Number 1 is the marriage mountain. This is where we find our identity and sufficiency in being a wife and having a successful marriage that others admire. Number 2 is the motherhood mountain. This is where our identity is attached to our children. Number 3 is the money mountain.
Cha-ching!
Here we find our worth in our work. The titles we earn, the check we make, the suits we wear, the offices we hold, the awards we win, the perceived impact we have, and how impressive we look.
Okay.
Number 4 is the mending mountain. Here we find validation in being able to help others solve their problems.
Lord Jesus.
Being dependable and sacrificing ourselves for the sake of saving others.
The sacrificial lamb.
My emphasis is ridiculous. And number 5 is the making a difference mountain. This is where our core identity gets defined by the act of serving. Though our efforts seem noble, we want something in exchange. Validation.
Oh, man.
You may identify with one or more of the mountains. None are bad. In fact, all are blessed. However, fixed beliefs about ourselves block us from God's master purpose. And for this reason, when God gets ready to shift you, you can guarantee he'll disrupt you.
This was so good. So
okay,
this jumped out to us because today we're getting together. Barry and I, we're getting together to talk about some things and getting ready to record a live and all those kind of things. So we don't pick which devotional we're gonna do in advance. We just get together and then decide, okay, which one are we being pulled to?
Yes.
Which one is God speaking to us more loudly that we should talk about or address? And so she's flipping through and she goes, ooh, day 34. Have you looked at day 34?
It jumped at me.
And I have a lot of tabs in this devotional for ones that I feel like would be good for us to talk about just based off their title or whatever. And so I flipped through, got to page 34.
That first sentence
Had me. Barry moved on to something else and was asking me questions about something else. And I said, girl, I'm over here reading day 34 because this is good. Too many times. I mean, for me, I'm going to go ahead and ask the question before we jump into this whole conversation. Yeah. The question that the devotional asks is, to which mountain do you gravitate to most? How has it defined you or even confined you? So I know for me personally, I've touched in a little bit of all of these.
Yeah, I'd definitely say all of them.
You know, all of them have kind of stood out to me, but I think like in different seasons. Like for example, the marriage mountain. In my first marriage, this was what mattered to me, you know, having a good marriage and having, you know, a marriage that people would want to at some point emulate, or say, how do you guys do it? You know, a lot of people, I had my siblings, my sisters weren't married, and they thought, oh my gosh, you're the first of us to get married, or you're the only one that's married, and you've got such a great husband, and all these different things. They had no idea some of the things that we were struggling or working through. And so for me, I just wanted to have the successful marriage that lasted the test of time and all those kind of things. But what I like about what this devotional says, it says, on the last sentence, and for this reason, when God gets ready to shift you, you can guarantee he'll disrupt you. And so for me, having that focus of being gravitated to having this successful marriage that everybody looked up to, what happens when it crumbles?
Very true. What happens?
Where's your identity at?
Where's
your identity at then?
And you know, oh my goodness, it's funny because I've been on this women's kind of what do you call it? Not a care group, but something like that. And we get together and we just kind of, we're just very transparent.
Like a support group almost?
Yes.
Okay.
And it's funny because when I first got on, you know, there's that question, you know, of who are you? Or, you know, like, you know, to tell your who, what, when, why.
Oh, yeah.
And it's so that question is so crippling, you know, because of course, why is it the first thing that we think
I'm married. I got kids.
Yeah, I'm a wife. I'm a mother. And yes, we are that. But like, I just feel like, does that tell like who we are?
Not really.
Or does that just tell the parts of our lives?
Yeah.
Like what parts of what we do, parts of, you know, what
our family history.
Yes.
It's like, you know, they didn't say who's your family, what's your family.
And like, it's like she's saying, it's not that that's bad. It's not that none of these are bad.
Yeah.
But is that really your source? Because if it is, it's an insufficient source.
Yeah.
Truthfully.
Because
what if it did crumble? What if it does crumble?
And it did.
And sometimes it does.
You know, when my first marriage fell apart, I couldn't tell left from right, up from down.
Everything was just turned
upside down. I couldn't spell my name if you asked me to.
Yeah.
My name is Candle. It's a fairly simple name to spell. But I couldn't function because so much of my identity, so much of my purpose, I thought, so much of who I was wrapped up in that. So I didn't know who I was without being married to this person. I didn't know who I was without being a military spouse. I'm the only one out of my siblings. We all grew up military brats, but I'm the only one out of my siblings that still maintains the military connection. So I didn't know what it was like to not even have that. So there was so many things that kind of crumbled and fell apart. And I had to learn to kind of not make that a part of who I was, like moving forward. So even being remarried, a lot of the times I don't lead a lot of conversations with "I'm married." I mean, people, I have a wedding ring on. I'm sure people look at that and kind of deduce that. But like,
I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry. We're seriously talking.
But just like in general, it's like a default setting when you join a group and they say, "Tell us about yourself," and you go, "I'm married, I got kids." But in general, when I'm talking about random basic things, I don't say a lot of stuff like, "Oh, I got this husband." That's just not, because I'm learning that while I love my husband and he's amazing and God brought me my dream man that I get to live and do life with. He's so good to me, better than I deserve some days because I'm cranky. But who I am is not directly related to who he is.
Yeah.
Like, he has his own identity, his own life, his own work career. He's worked up the work ladder and he gets promoted and stuff. When he gets promoted, I'm like, "Oh, I'm not doing that." He got promoted.
Right.
I ain't doing his work.
Yeah.
I'm just making sure he has lunch every day.
And I think it's just because that's such a big part of our lives. When we're married, particularly, we become, as the word says, one with our spouse. And I think we get lost in that translation of, we think that means that we're just one person. No, it means we're in unity.
Yeah.
Yes. But we are still our own person.
Individual.
We still have our own soul.
Yeah.
We still have our own spirit. We still have our own, ears to hear from God. Eyes, our own walk, our own purpose that God wants us to walk in. And sometimes, those purposes align with our spouse, but sometimes they don't. So we both do, like your husband, he's, you're not called to do the military work.
Absolutely not.
Right. That's not your purpose.
I wouldn't even make it through basic, y'all. It would be bad. I mean, I don't even like outside barbecues. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I struggle. Like, I'm like, "Oh, there's a bug." So really, I could not be outside sleeping in a tent. It's just.
But so that's the point. It's like, I just think because those things really take up such a big part of our lives, we can get, in a sense, lost in the identity of that.
Yeah.
But that doesn't really have to do with
who we are as individuals.
Yes.
Who we are as individuals.
Within.
Yes.
Our identity within.
Number 2, definitely the motherhood mountain.
Ooh, that's another one too.
I don't know how any person who's not a mom does not feel
not
like
say,
that's a part of their identity.
Of course. Hello, like, the baby develops in our belly.
You grew a person.
Are you kidding me? The excruciating pain that we go through to have this being, it's you feel so we're so connected.
Yeah.
And that in a physical sense, that it just, I feel like it lingers. It just goes, it goes with us because we raised the kid, so that's another one. It's such a big part of our lives.
It really is. Like, I think back early on when my girls were much smaller and my world revolved around them.
Oh, yes, honey, mine too. Are you kidding?
Everything that I did revolved around them. I mean, their breakfast time, their snack time, their lunch, their play dates. People be like, "Hey, you want to get together for lunch?"
Especially if you're a stay-at-home mother.
And I was a stay-at-home mom after both girls were born. So when people be like, "Hey, I wanted to meet up with you and hang out. What, can you come at 1:00? Nope, because my baby's napping. My baby has lunch at 12.
Oh, no.
And then when she wakes up from her nap around 1:30, 2:00, so I can't do anything until after 2. So that's just how it was. Everything revolved around my kids. And what broke me from having that be like this huge part of my identity, this huge thing of I'm a mom. Even when I was a single mom, I'm a single mom. Mm-hmm. What helped me break me from that, honestly, was being a single mom. Because I had to share them with their dad.
Yeah.
He lived somewhere else. So there were summers where they had to go away. And the first summer that they went away,
you didn't know what to do with yourself.
I had 6 weeks. And it took me 3 weeks, y'all. 1, 2, 3 weeks to get it together before I started enjoying myself. It was the longest 3 weeks. I didn't know what to do.
I totally feel you there, though. Because, I mean, granted, my daughter doesn't stay away that long. But if there's an extended period of time, I'll be sitting here like, what am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to be doing? Hold up.
What am I supposed to do? I mean, there was no laundry to clean. There were no meals to cook. There were no fights to break up. There were no toys to pick up.
So much time on your hands.
There were no doctor's appointments to run to. No play dates to keep them in. There was nothing. And so every day I was getting up and going to work. And at that time I worked 4 days a week. So I'm getting up and going to work. And I get off work and then I'm like, and I got off early. I got off early in the afternoon. So all of my friends were still working until 4:30, 5 o'clock in the afternoon. So I'm just twiddling my thumbs. Just, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing.
It's a whole new world.
And for real. And that summer broke me from being like, okay, you're not just a mom. You're not just somebody's wife. You're not those things. You're not just that. It's a part of who you are. It's a part of your makeup. But there's so much more to you than that.
There's so much more.
And I had to learn to explore that.
Good.
I had to learn to accept that my kids are not going to always be with me. Listen, y'all, our kids will grow up. They will move out. They will build their own lives. They will have their own families. And so it's important for you. It's the same thing with marriage. Why they say it's so important that you prioritize your marriage over your kids, because when your kids move out, it's you and your husband.
Yes.
And you need to still like each other. Just saying.
You don't want to be looking across the table at a stranger.
Be like, who
are you?
Who is this? Right?
Yes.
So it's so important to really focus on, who am I outside of these things? Yep. Because in all honesty, I don't necessarily know that they're identities as much as their titles.
Ooh, you're right about that.
You see what I'm saying? It's just a title.
It is.
But is it really like
it's
the core of who you are?
It's obligations.
Yeah.
Because of course as a parent. Yeah, and being married, it's commitments and obligations that you have, that you journey through, that you work through, but it's all about balance, like we talk about all the time, man. It's about balance, because it's of course not bad to be all those good things in your marriage and for your children, even in your job, your success life. But like, what about in you? What about within you?
Yeah.
What about you?
Yeah.
What about as women, we put on all these hats.
It's about 5 billion.
All these hats.
It's about 5 billion of them. Yeah.
And in that, I think a lot of us lose sight of the within,
Yeah.
And easily so, and we want to, I guess I can speak for myself, we just want to be pleasing. We want to be validated. We want to be validated and approved and accepted as like,
we want to succeed.
You're great. Yes. You're great. Like you're such a good person.
You're a great mom.
Good.
You're a great wife.
And that's fine. But you have, it's deeper than that. That's what I've learned.
It's got to be deeper than that.
It's a lot deeper than that.
I think your identity is tied to your purpose. And yes, for some people, their purpose really is just motherhood. Yeah. For some people, they've been a stay-at-home mom since day one, and their whole purpose has been to raise their kids, and they thrive in it. Yes. Like, I have a friend who, she gets sad when her kids go back to school after summer break. I'm like, girl, I couldn't get, my girls were younger. The first day of school, I was up before them so early. I couldn't get them on that bus fast enough. I was out there at that bus stop. If the bus is supposed to come at 7:10, it was 7:11. I was hot. You hear me? The bus is a whole minute late. These kids have got to go.
That is too
funny. It didn't mean that I didn't love my kids, but raising kids is taxing. But there are some people that is their purpose.
Yeah.
That is what God kind of fashioned them to be in that season. And a lot of those people go on in some respects to kind of be like resources for other moms.
Oh, yeah.
So when their kids grow up and graduate, they've mastered, in a sense, I guess, I don't know if you really can, but they've mastered the sense or the art of raising kids and being the PTA mom and doing all those things. And then their kid goes off to college and they learn to grow in that area and learn how to be a mom in that stage. And then they turn that into feeding into other moms and encouraging other moms.
God continues,
that's their purpose. God continues to mold
feed
that
into
thing
other people's
in that.
lives about.
So for some people, that's their thing, you know. So it just.
But don't make yourself feel guilty
if it's not your thing.
Ain't.
Because listen, that is not my calling. I love my kids, but I want them to move out a. Okay.
Yeah, and just like, you know, these fixed beliefs where we think that if we can just do this, if we can just be perfect in this and be so accomplished in this area of our lives, this mountain of success of our lives, then we've done it, and yeah, we have. Okay, yeah, it's good, you know, it's great, but there's so more. There's so much more. God wants so much more, and he will disrupt those things, will he not?
Those things,
if you're holding on to it, and especially if you're idolizing it, oh no, we serve a jealous God, y'all.
He will flip that table over. He will flip that table over.
Oh, yes.
And so the number 3 thing that she mentioned in here is the money mountain. Where you find your worth with titles, how much you earn, the offices that you hold, the awards you win, the perceived impact, how impressive you look. The thing that resonated with me most was the office that I held and the perceived impact that I had. Those, at my last job, those were very important things to me and were a huge part of what I felt like was my identity in that role as an administrative assistant at a church. I had that was an office that I held.
Right.
And so with that office came a lot of requirements and a lot of work and a lot of expectations, but there also came a lot of respect and a lot of authority with that. Because I'm speaking on behalf of this ministry and this church and this pastor, and people are looking like, if she's saying this, she wouldn't be saying this if pastor hadn't told her she could say this. So they're taking what I'm saying and being like, hey, this is what she said do, so this is what we're going to do, kind of thing. And then to the other part of it where it was the impact that I had. In that position, I also had the opportunity to serve in ministry, parts of things that weren't my job, where I got to actually just serve, that were part of who I was as a person. And that kind of grew more and more the more opportunities were presented to me. And so it's just one of those kind of things, though, once again, what happens when God shifts you?
What happens when that goes away?
When God shifted me right out of that role into something new, once again, it was kind of similar to what happened with my marriage. I didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
I was like, this is who I've been. This is what I've been doing for X amount of years. I don't know anything outside of this. I don't know that I want to do anything outside of this. And so it's so true when she says, when we miss who we're called to be because we're addicted to or attached to who we've decided to be. And that's one of those things where I decided and was attached to that in that season.
Absolutely.
And so when God shifted me, it was kind of like,
whoa, what am I supposed to do?
Wait a homie, it's like a tornado came through.
Who am I supposed to be now?
Exactly. Totally uprooted me.
Yeah.
But it put me on the path to where I am now. Had I not gone through the experience with my ex-husband, or the experience with my kids going off for the summer, or the experience right here with my identity, the money, success, or whatever, even though this wasn't financially, but it falls under that category, I wouldn't be walking in what I now feel is my purpose.
Yeah, because I think we have to realize that those things, we might let some of these mountains, success mountains, define us and confine us. You know, just like what the question is saying, like we don't know what to do if that's not there. And so honestly, we let that season of our lives confine oh, that's the only potential we have. That's
it.
The only
this is it.
place we can go.
This is
but
the
God's
only place
like,
we can be used.
Who said that?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I didn't say that. Like, you thought that.
Yep.
You let that define.
I felt like it was the only place that I could be used.
Yes, exactly. That's what.
Not true, but that's.
Yes, you're right though.
That's what my identity.
When we're holding on to these,
yep.
when we're putting our source and are relying on these success mountains to define us, it doesn't define us. It does not serve the purpose of defining who God made us to be.
God defines us.
Exactly.
And I think we get that kind of lost in translation a little bit.
And that's why it changes. That's why things change in our lives. That's why these seasons change in our lives.
That's why he shifts us.
Yes, that's why the shift happens.
Because he thinks, oh, this is where you think, oh, okay, shift.
Right.
And then you're around here like, God, look, I'm gonna need you to stop playing. You're doing too much.
Gosh. I remember before I got pregnant, this was an unplanned pregnancy.
Surprise!
Okay? I was, my daughter, she's getting older, and I'm just, I'm thinking like, yeah, it's nice, just having one child. And
I've asked Barry a lot of times,
I got
have
this,
another baby?
I don't think I need another baby.
Yep.
We
That's
got
what
a
she said,
whole
y'all.
football team.
That's
Kids,
what she said, y'all.
We got plenty of responsibilities
What's she
right
doing
now.
now?
Are you kidding me?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I got my daughter. I'm just gonna raise her up, and it's gonna be smooth. It's gonna be nice, and it's just gonna be great.
And God said, shift.
And then, bam, you're pregnant.
You're welcome.
While my daughter was ecstatic,
Barry's over here
me and Nick were over here like our mouths dropped to the floor like, what?
Y'all, the way Barry told me she was pregnant was one of the funniest things anybody has ever told me.
This is not happening.
Oh my gosh. I was like, where's she going with this story?
I quickly had to be like, okay, God.
Okay,
so
is
right.
this what we doing?
You won't? Okay.
Okay,
I mean, another one.
I mean, if this what you say we doing,
we're gonna have another one.
This is what we're doing.
You know what you're doing? I do not. I'm gonna let go.
I mean, I really do not, God, because I just said I was good.
I'm gonna let go and let go.
That whole thing. Fix it, Jesus.
Woo! I couldn't even, for a while, I couldn't even think about, how, you start thinking about this and that. No.
Your mind couldn't even get there.
It took me quite a while.
You had to work up to it a little bit, like.
I had to brace myself.
Like, Jesus, what are you doing? Like, what in the world is going on? Why are you doing this to me? He loves us.
But I'm looking forward to it now.
He loves us.
I'm over all that now, guys. I ain't panicking about it no more. I'm excited.
I'm not over here like.
I'm excited. I'm looking forward. It's going to be such a great journey. And I'm honestly so thankful because my daughter, she is the sweetest thing when it comes to us having this baby. And she practices every single day. She has her baby doll.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, she's got it down to the T.
She's going to be the best helper.
She done practice when I first hand her the baby. And her response and her reaction.
That is the cutest
she's
thing.
Like, Mommy, can we practice? Can we?
Y'all.
It is so sweet.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, she's so adorable.
Ari was mad that I had the baby while she was gone. They were gone for the summer when I went into labor. They were with their dad.
Oh, really? They
Samara was like, whatever. She was like, y'all keep having all these kids because she's the oldest. So she's like, y'all keep having all these kids and please don't have any more. And Ari's just like, oh,
talking about all these kids.
Oh, I'm like,
girl, send her my way.
I'm like,
okay. Talking about all these kids.
Barry's like, regroup. Regroup. So, the Lord is with us, y'all. So the fourth thing in here that she talked about is the mending mountain, which I think that Barry and I strongly resonate with.
I call it people pleasing.
People pleasing. We find validation because we're able to help others solve their problems.
Oh, yeah. It makes us feel good that we're dependable. People can
sacrificing ourselves.
Right. Just we put it. That's like we're putting ourselves up on a pedestal there, guys.
Yep. Little. Like, I got it. I can do this. I'm here for you.
Right. And, that was a little bit of a harsh truth that I had to learn about myself. Yeah. I thought, that was the I was the best thing going with that. Like, I'm doing so good. God, I'm doing everything right.
Everything
Like,
right. And God's like,
okay.
Are you really though?
Right? Like, okay. But now you exhausted. Now you frustrated. Now you can't say no to anybody. Now you feel guilty. Now you can't even, you feel like you gotta explain yourself when you can't do something, when you don't want to do something. Right? You're over here, you don't know what to do with your life. Oh, but you got everybody else's life fixed, don't you?
Need to be fixing you.
Right.
That is what God was telling me.
Right.
Because
oh my gosh, yes.
I deeply resonated with this success, because I thought as long as I'm always there for my friends and the people that need me the most, my family members or whoever, as long as when they call on me, I show up no matter what, if I just, show them that I'm there, that I can help them, I can solve their problems. They let me know what it is, I can fix it. I can drive over there in my car real quick. You need me to put your light bulb in? I got you. Put your computer desk together? No problem. You need me to vacuum? You need me to find your passport? What do you need me to do? I got it all. I'm a one-stop shop.
Over here being Martha's.
Over here being doing the most. And once again, this is all stuff where I can relate to it because I see the shift.
Yes.
And because I've had these friendships and relationships for so long, when those relationships fell apart and I had to realize that part of it was my fault.
I've enabled.
I set up this, like, we teach people how to treat us. So when you set up this expectation and you allow people to have that expectation,
and you don't have boundaries,
you don't make it clear, then you find yourself in these areas where you're frustrated and
struggling.
Then when the friendship, when you start saying no to things, or you stop being the person that they got so used to you being, when you stop that and you realize, okay, I can't show up for that all the time.
Sometimes it's a rough transition.
And you question, am I still a good friend? Am I still successful in this area? Yes, of course.
Selfish?
No,
you're not.
But you have to set up those boundaries. I mean, I have a friendship that, I don't know, it's not even a friendship anymore. But it took me a long time to get to that place, because even though things were uncomfortable and kind of rocky and I couldn't really understand where I stood with this person, they did something, and that one thing that they did, and I had been praying over it, like, God, show me where I stand, show me what I need to do, because I have all these feelings and this has been lingering for a few years and I just don't know what to do next. So just show me. And when they made a decision, and that decision was a big one, it showed me where I stood, and it kind of released me. That was the shift. Like, because I was still in that mode of, if I just show up, if I just there, if I just do this and I just do that, I just do all these things, then, I'm still... Hold, please.
Pause. Ad recording, right? Press that?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. I have it on do not... It's on silent and it's on do not disturb, so why did it still... That is really weird. So do we have to wait to press record again until that finishes?
I don't think so. I don't know.
I'm sorry. I don't know why that happened.
It happens.
So just go ahead and press it.
Yeah, let's see what happens.
Okay, you good? All right.
And so for me, that thing, it shifted for me from being in that place of constantly still trying to do all those things. God answered that prayer. He let me know that I deemed all these things successful in relationships. And when I could no longer be those things, it's once again that shift.
Yes.
Same thing with marriage and parenthood and the success mountain and money. Where here it is in relationships and connection with friendships, and you can't be that thing anymore, and it falls apart. well, then who am I to this person? What am I supposed to be doing?
Yeah,
how do I navigate this relationship? You question all of those things, trying to figure out, like, well, what am I supposed to be doing?
And in times that is so necessary, though, because you don't want to just hold on to something that is not going to serve you or the other person anymore. That it's so pointless. It's just dead. It's like just dead weight, you know.
Yep.
Or even like you connecting to a dead power source. You know what I mean? And you know, to no fault of you or the other person, you know, but if you don't set up those the you know, the boundaries, and you don't set up the proper and healthy way a relationship should go, a friendship should run and
operate.
Operate. Then it's gonna go haywire.
Yep.
You know,
and then the shift comes.
And especially when it's something that you're more dependent upon. You know, dependent upon it being successful, dependent upon it going flawlessly and perfectly, and feeling great, and
depending on it to show your worth or your value.
Yes.
And it doesn't.
Yeah.
So, once again, I'm like, can you really just leave me alone? And the number 5 we have on here is the making a difference mountain. And this is where our core identity gets defined by the act of serving. And honestly, when it says, to which mountain do you gravitate to the most? This is the one that I gravitate to the most. This is because this is the one that I feel like is more directly related to my purpose and my calling and who God created me to be. Not that he didn't create me to be an awesome wife or a great mom or to the money mountain and being impressive and all those kind of things, the accolades. But this one right here, the mending mountain, not that he didn't call me to have great relationships and to care for others, but the making a difference mountain was really something that is not something that I feel like will have the same shifts as these other ones will. I feel like when you're looking at these success mountains, the one that you're called to the most, the shifts will be more of an elevation than they will be
that's good.
A deterrent or something falling apart, or it'll be more of a, when he shifts you, it'll be uncomfortable, but it'll be to take you where he's taking you next.
That's good.
And so the making a difference mountain is the one that resonates with me the most, because it ties in a little bit with me wanting to serve others and care for others, but it allows me to do it in the things that resonate deeply with me, the things that I'm passionate about.
Yes, you know, things that you really care about.
The things that, because, you know, there are certain things we do in life, whether it be a job or other things, that completely exhaust you and deplete you as a person. And you just don't even know if you can get up and do it the next day sometimes. But when it's something you're passionate about, even if it completely exhausts you and depletes you, you still want to do it. You're like, I'm exhausted right now. And sometimes I'm exhausted, but I'm up on the computer just like, it's 9-10 o'clock at night. My husband's like, are you coming to sleep? And I'm like, I got this thing going. The Lord is speaking. And so this is the one that I feel like resonates with me the most, that I feel called to the most.
I think you know, the mending one for me, before we started this podcast, I remember talking to you about how anytime it had to do with like somebody else, or somebody else wanting to accomplish something, or somebody else wanting to get something done or to fix within themselves or within their lives. Oh, I'm all for it. And I'm like, yes, boo, I got you. I'm here for you.
Do it.
This. And then when it comes to, okay, but what about you? I'm like, no, hold on. We talking about you though. You got this. Get it. You know what I'm saying? Like for so long, I would put myself.
You're everybody else's cheerleader.
Yes. And I put myself on the back burner. But when I would do that, it was really because I didn't want to face things. I didn't want to decide. I didn't want to like decide for myself. Like, oh, it's easy for me to help somebody else decide, you know, about their life. But I didn't want to do that about my life. And it wasn't until us starting this podcast
Yeah.
and having to really realize that, girl, what? That's why you don't know nothing about yourself and what you want to do and where you want to go. Like, because you constantly
are
just
cheering for everybody else.
Yes, but you're just putting yourself
on the back burner
just so you don't have to figure it out.
Wow, Barry, that's
God,
powerful. Wow.
And you know, this has really helped me to really figure it out. You know, because
wow, that's amazing.
I know I've sat there and been like, there's been times where I've been like, well, what am I knew I was a mother, you know, and I knew that was something that God purposed. And I'm very passionate about being a mother and being an intentional parent and being married, you know, being Proverbs 31 woman,
yes.
And, you know, being the wife. And, you know, I really do enjoy that. But I understand that that's not all, you know, like I knew that there was something else and there was something more, but for a long time, I did not want to figure out what that was.
You're like, hey, girl,
I'm doing this, and it feels good, and it's great, and it's fine. I'm fine.
Let's not talk about it. Right. But you, what are you doing?
But this has helped me to understand that where my inner identity really is, or you know, who my inner identity really is.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because it's more than me just saying I'm a mom and I'm a wife. It's more than me just saying, you know, I'm a server. Yeah. You know, I'm a helper.
Yeah.
You know, I'm an encourager.
Absolutely.
A motivator, etc. for everybody else.
A prayer warrior. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. But it's like you have to. But it's your life. Like I had to tell myself, like, hold up, but what about your life?
What are you?
Your life.
Wow.
So the mending one for me is probably the one I gravitate to the most.
Mm-hmm.
And I also think that the motherhood and marriage falls in that for me.
Yeah.
As well.
Mm-hmm.
Because it to me goes along with it. Being married, you're serving. Being a mother, you're serving.
All
you're sacrificing yourself. You're sacrificing yourself for others' sake.
All the time.
You're being dependable. You're
reliable,
right?
All the things people.
And yeah, it's what I have let define me. Wow. And yes, confine me, because I didn't want to figure out what else is there.
Wow.
For you, Bear.
You've been on a roll today. Oh my gosh. You've been on a roll. But really, it's these kinds of things, like these kind of conversations, these kind of moments that I think that God uses for deeper self-exploration. And like you said, look at the second question, how has it defined you or even confined you? Making a difference has helped me come out of my shell more, helped me to be more confident in who I am as a person, more accepting of myself, and being more willing to take risk, because I've started doing so many different things and just jumping out there. I don't always tarry over things as much as I used to, where I would stress out and be like, oh my gosh, I would just be like, oh, you want to try that? Well, just try it. And, you know, and I'll just kind of do it. And if it turns out good, it does. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. But how has it confined me? It's confined me in the way of something that Barry and I kind of talked about a little bit earlier, or Wednesday, on our Wednesday live, when we talked about like holding ourselves back, like kind of in the sense where self-doubt would creep in.
Yes.
And so for me, while I love making a difference, there are those moments of self-doubt that creep in, and that's that's how it's confined me, that success category, because I have to remind myself that I'm not doing all these things in my strength. It's God that's working through me. And so I can't allow, you know, what if I don't do this right or do that right? Well, it's not you doing it.
There you go.
So just do what God told you to do.
Because when it is you doing it,
then self-doubt creeps in, and then you get all fearful, and you start relying on your own strength.
You get all kind of things.
You get all kinds of things.
Burnt out, stressed out, frustrated, confused,
all
indecisive.
The list of things.
Don't know what's happening.
God is not saying any of those things. He's like, sit down, Martha. Sit down.
Right, exactly.
So, is there anything else you want to share? Are you ready for LLT?
Yeah, I feel like, all these go along with you're seeking validation, over just knowing that God already validates you, and knowing that you're who you are and who you were made to be. God's already validated that, whether you've done something, whether you have accomplished something or not.
You're enough.
These success mountains aren't your source.
Yep. You're enough.
You are enough regardless.
Yep. And these are just parameters.
Yeah.
Just parameters.
But they are not your source.
Yeah.
So especially not your source of validation.
Nope. You have to
and identity.
Allow God to give you your identity, and allow God to build you up to whoever it is He created you to be. And be okay with that. Absolutely. Embracing that all the way. And so I want to share my LLT. It is when you said you don't want to hold on to something or someone that doesn't serve you or the other person anymore.
Yeah.
And that was kind of like a thing that gave me more clarity. Like, it's not just about me. It's not just about me wanting to show up and be in this relationship. It's about the other person wanting to be in a relationship. And it doesn't mean that they don't love me or think that I'm great or to think that I have a lot of great things to offer. But those are not the things that they need out of a relationship. Yeah. They don't need those things for me. Yeah. And so it's about saying, you're not being served. I'm not being served. I love you from afar. Fist bump. Holla.
Right. And that's the shift.
That's the shift.
That's the shift.
That's the shift,
So my LLT, the few things that you said was you said so much of who we are can be wrapped up in those mountains. And isn't that not true when we say, who are you? I'm a mother. Well, I got a husband. Wife. Yeah. And you think, well, you don't even know what to say.
Yeah, you're just like,
know what to
say.
It's
like a deer in headlights.
Right. That is mean to that question. Like,
I'm just like,
say outside of that. Like,
I live in Georgia.
I've been massaged.
Yeah, I like chicken and stuff that nobody even asked you.
But there's so much more.
So much more.
And I love how you said with making a difference. Like, instead of it being more like a shift, it's like an elevation to going higher, to getting to your higher calling, your higher place with God and with who He's made you to be.
Yes.
Embrace
the shift. It's not always good. It doesn't always make you feel the best. But there's an intent behind it. Yes. There's a purpose behind it.
Yeah, embrace the disruption.
Embrace the disruption.
It might disrupt now. It might disrupt and erupt.
Oh, you erupt. Like a volcano.
But just embrace the process of it. Yeah. Because you will come out on the other side. And you'll get through and especially ask God for the clarity.
Oh, yes.
When you need the clarity through it, He is so graciously wanting to give that to you.
And He's faithful.
Yes.
So, thank you, Jesus.
Amen.
So, Bari is going to read the prayer?
Yeah, I'll read the prayer. So, we'd love to end it off with a prayer. It just sets the tone of the whole conversation out in our spirits and our minds. So, the prayer is, Lord, I welcome disruption because it positions me for greater destiny and capacity. Show me where you're taking me. I know it is great and mighty.
Amen to that. I know it is great and mighty. Hallelujah. Talking about speaking life.
Oh, I know, right?
Talking about speaking into your future. Yes. That's amazing there.
And gaining
thank
that
you, God.
Understanding. Yes. Thank you, God, because God wants us to understand. Yes. He does not want us to remain confused.
Out here just flailing in the wind, y'all. Like these tree branches we see outside with that storm, y'all. We've been having some storms. It is not.
Yes, it has been a stormy couple days in Georgia.
It's been an adventure. So
yes.
Thank you guys for tuning in.
Thank you for tuning in. Like we were saying, this episode will also be available on YouTube. If you want to check out the video, go to YouTube, Live and Love Podcast, and you can watch it on there.
Please do.
And don't forget, we have our Wednesday devotionals on social media. We go live around lunch, 12:30. And just some extra encouragement to get you through the rest of your week.
Yep. And don't forget to like and subscribe.
Yes, on our YouTube. Subscribe on our website as well.
And our podcast.
Yes.
Make sure we want them to rate.
Yeah, you can rate our podcast. Or even share it.
Yeah.
Share it with others.
Share with others, all of that.
Yes,
so
we appreciate
all the
y'all.
things. We thank you so much.
Thank you to our avid listeners. We love y'all. We're here for y'all. Like we always say, if y'all ever need prayer, if you ever want to talk, you want to share with us.
Yes.
We are here.
We would love to hear from you.
With open ears.
You can always email us at livinglovedpodcast@gmail.com with your questions. If there's a specific topic you want us to talk about, or anything like that, please hit us up. We'd be more than we would love to hear from you and just, explore those things.
We love the feedback.
We love the feedback. So,
all right, guys.
Until next time. Adios, amigos.